Now, the poet Robert Frost famously wrote, "Good fences make good neighbors." While it's true that boundaries are important, it's also true that old-fashioned notion of neighbors coming together to repair things like fences still has a place in our modern world. Neighborhood associations and coalitions help bring people together to support the health and safety of their communities. Producer Sarah Gustavus sat down this week with some neighborhood leaders to look at common goals of such connections.
Here with me today are Sarah Mancini, Manager of the Office of Neighborhood Coordination, Bernadette Hardy, Co-Coordinator of the International District Healthy Communities Coalition and Team Leader for the Light the District Project, and Enrique Cardiel, Urban Health Extension Coordinator with Bernalillo County and Facilitator of the International District Healthy Communities Coalition. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Sarah, I'm going to start with you. Crime is one of the top concerns for neighborhoods across the city right now. Why does your office believe that helping people connect with their neighbors is important for public safety?
Yeah, so a lot of the work that we do is to help foster relationships among neighbors. And the reason that that's linked to crime is if you know your neighbors, if you know how to communicate with them, if you have their name and their phone number, if there is an emergency, if you kind of know what their habits are, what their lifestyle is, you know when something's amiss, when something's not right. And so you know that you can call 242 COPS or 911 if there's an emergency because you're familiar with your neighborhood. You know what should happen and what shouldn't be going on in there.
And is the idea that folks would know their neighbors beyond, say, the people right next to them or right across the street?
In this time and age, we start with people just knowing the neighbors right next door and across the street, because most of us don't even know that. But beyond that, we really encourage the creation and the involvement in a neighborhood association, because if you know your community beyond the people right around your home, it's going to make your community more vibrant, a more pleasant and nice place to live because you're interacting with people who you're familiar with.
There are about 250 neighborhood associations registered with you right now. I know there might be even more out there that are not official. Mm-hmm. What are qualities that make a good neighborhood association?
You know, that's unique to each neighborhood. It depends on what the needs of the neighborhood are. It depends on the history of that neighborhood. Some neighborhoods have just a different founding history than other neighborhoods, and so then therefore to be successful they need to prioritize different things. And that's kind of the unique piece of our office is we don't come in and tell neighborhoods how they should operate. We just support neighborhoods in that operation and how they believe to be successful and what they believe their neighborhood needs.
I think some people might be surprised to learn your office does not handle the Neighborhood Watch program you used to in the past. Mm-hmm. That was part of your mission. It's now overseen by the Albuquerque Police Department. What changed in that reorganization? What's different about the work you're doing now?
So currently we work just to support, celebrate, and serve our neighborhoods. So that looks a lot of different things, and like I said, we can make it to whatever a neighborhood needs us to do. But we focus on fostering neighborhood relationships, building up our neighborhoods, building neighborhood involvement. We amplify the work that APD does with public safety and encourage neighborhood watch programs and encourage them to work with our crime prevention specialists. And so that's kind of the piece of public safety that we still have. And connected to public safety is we really believe that a connected community is a safer community. So if you know your neighbors, you're going to be safer, like I explained before. And then in addition to that, we increase communication from the city to our neighborhoods and vice versa. We have a newsletter, we have a weekly e-news. We provide trainings for our neighborhoods and leadership development.
Enrique and Bernadette, you both work in the International District. A year ago, the International District Healthy Communities Coalition kicked off the Light the District project. Bernadette, what problem did that seek to solve?
Well, we started Light the District because a lot of the community residents and people in the neighborhood, we started doing community walks, and we ran into the problem of people didn't want to walk alone, so we wanted to do community walks. But it was just kind of unsafe. The built environment was not set up for community walks. They weren't. Our sidewalks aren't ADA compliant. The lighting, lots of the city lights are out. They don't even work. So we thought, what would be a good way to make our community a little bit safer? And after doing some talking with APD, they said putting lights up is a good way to deter crime and maybe make a little bit things feel safe, a little bit safer, and maybe encourage more activity in the neighborhood. So we started the Light the District, and we started with just our own community members and paying for it out of our own pockets. And when we partnered with an organization called Healthy Here, which is it's a public health organization, and under Presbyterian, they offer to help pay for several lights. So right now we're up to 20 lights in the neighborhood, and we put them in people's front residence, so we don't need city's permission. And we're really excited about putting more. We have a list of people who want one, and we hope it carries on.
Enrique, how is this part of helping people live healthier lives, being able to walk in your neighborhood?
Well, there's a variety of things. If you don't feel safe outside walking, that one is a level of stress that's kind of there and chronic, and we know that chronic stress is harmful for your health. But also walking is good, and for people to feel safer walking, for people to actually be safer because there's lighting, reduces incidence of any kind of physical violence, but also just that comfort level of people being able to walk. And where we have put lights, people that live by them will comment on like how much they appreciate that there's a light. I think beyond that, it also is part of that community connection, right? So often when we put in a light, whether it's at a church, an apartment building, or somebody's home, we have events where we serve snacks and people come out and like what's going on, and we're able to talk to neighbors, and other people get to know each other. So I think that's been useful. I think we've had events where, then Auditor Keller came, Mimi Stewart came. We've had other events go on where other elected officials come in, so they get to meet community folks that wouldn't normally interact with them. And also just neighbors that wouldn't have interacted before because they know or they've seen the neighbor across the street, but they've never actually gone to talk to them. Now there's people digging this hole and putting this big pole in the yard, and so they want to know what's going on. And we have cookies and punch or something, and so it's inviting in that sense. And so, Presbyterian Community Health has been a big partner. So have the county, the city. But really it's come down to the neighbors kind of working together and looking like, how do we do this?
Cookies are always a good way to build community. Bernadette, there's a lot of, people think of the International District as an unsafe place. Do you feel like is it empowering for folks in the neighborhood to be able to come together around a project like this and work on their own neighborhood?
Well, I live there and I don't think it's unsafe. A lot of people who live there love the neighborhood. Mostly that sentiment comes from people outside of the neighborhood. But we are a resettlement community for new people, and just having different events in the neighborhood and make people come closer and know your neighbor is important. But also it's tough because we have different languages, and just we want to create that connection with people.
Do people come together on those walks that you mentioned? Is that a community building?
We do a lot of fun things with our walks. We paired with the Asian Family Center and had some Pokemon walks. We did Together for Brothers, and we did a street assessments to see what was wrong with our streets and see what lights are out. So we did safety walks around intersections that are really high fatality rates. We do a lot of different types of walks, so it does bring community. We paired with Running Medicine, a lot of different running clubs, and Bike ABQ. We did a Zuni bike and walk event. They're exciting, and a lot of people are really excited about having these type of things in our neighborhood that they didn't have before.
And you're a coalition. How are neighborhood associations working with you on these initiatives?
Our coalition, we have several neighborhood presidents that are involved. Joanne Landry, Reina Luz Juarez, South San Pedro, and Trumbull Village, and others. and they are members of our coalition. And if whatever we do in their neighborhoods, we always ask permission, and we are always lucky to work with them and pair with them, and whatever we can do to help each other, that's what we're there for.
Enrique, besides lighting, what are some other barriers that keep people from being out in their community unless there's something where they feel like they have some group to already connect to? People just going out on their own and walking or meeting up with people.
Well, I think if you look at the International District, actually more people walk and bike there than most other places in Albuquerque, partially out of necessity, but just partially the neighborhood is built that way where people don't have to drive far. So I think it's not that we're getting a whole bunch more people out to walk. We're just helping them feel safer, feeling connected about it, right? People are able to know other folks. Okay, I know this is where this person lives, so when I'm walking, if there's an issue, I can stop in here. I know this is where the lights are, so if I want to walk in while it's dark, I'm going to walk where there's extra lighting. So I think really we don't, just like people see our neighborhood as unsafe, it's not that we need to get more people walking. People walk, people ride their bikes. Now it's just safer. The Zuni walk and bike event was to recognize the bike lanes that were put on Zuni, right, that are new. Councilor Davis came out, was part of that. Councilor Garduño was the one who initiated that process. And I think that was just recognizing, okay, people have always ridden their bike, probably not on Zuni because it wasn't safe. Now there's a bike lane and it is safe, you know, and so people are using it. And I think that's important. And that's something, we didn't work on it in the sense that like we didn't create it, but we went door to door and to 1,000 doors during the meetings leading up to that planning process and participated with that. You know, that was something the county supported. And, you know, a lot of the different organizations, East Central Ministries and Orphan Power Company all pitched in to help get the word out.
Sarah, what are some lessons in this work that they've done to bring people together, to build on existing strengths in the neighborhood? What are some lessons that you like to share with other neighborhood associations?
Yeah, I think this is a really incredible example of what it looks like when the community comes around a concern that they see and that they're empowered to address it, and that they identify the resources that they have and the assets that they have within their community, and then they go after a project and they get it done. And it's more lasting, I think, when it comes from the community, not from the top down, but instead from the grassroots efforts of community members. And it's actually addressing the needs that you guys know that you have in your neighborhoods, instead of someone coming in and saying what your neighborhood needs. So I think that it's more lasting when it comes from that grassroots place.
And one of the things we've tried to do is, so I work for the county, I used to work for the state doing public health, but I live in the neighborhood. So it's, part of that is, yes, I'm a professional, but I'm also somebody who lives there, so I know kind of these things. I don't have to do as many surveys or outreach things to find out what people think. I've been living there, I know, I have some sense of what people think. And we've tried to hire folks who live in the neighborhood, right? Bernadette lives in the neighborhood, Reina lives in the neighborhood. People that are working with us largely are from the neighborhood, and so we have that. We're building up also the capacity of people in the neighborhood to take on public health in this kind of engaged community process.
And Bernadette, there's so many ways that people can connect online. There's apps, there's websites. Why is it still important to maybe go door to door or connect with people in person?
When we were outreaching for our last event, Ciclovia, I took a lot of students with me. And while we were doing door to door, I just explained like different things that I've learned from Enrique and Reina about what happened in this in the community, and just the history. So, and they felt really safe. It was a fun experience, and they want to do it again. So I'm super excited about, and just meeting people. Meeting all the diversity in the neighborhood is important, and getting to know each person who lives in your neighborhood is amazing. So I can't wait to do it again. We have our next Ciclovia event already, calendar date picked, which is October 21st, 2018 from 10 to 3, and it's going to be bigger and better. We're going to close down another loop in the International District, and hopefully get more community members involved.
And that Ciclovia is where all the streets close down and people can walk and bike and meet different organizations. We can put a
Yes.
link to that on our website. Thank you all for being here this
Thank you
week.
so much.
Thank you.